Your horse might also have a deficiency in a different area, you know?
Yep.
It's like, I don't know. If that horse is low in other nutrients that aren't related to the hair, if that horse is just unhealthy in general, its ability to grow hair, like BioMane is not going to replace other nutritional deficiencies outside of like the hair, you know, like we're really targeting the hair with BioMane, and so that horse might also have some other things that need to be compensated for before it can like look like a healthy, you know, vibrant horse.
Guys, welcome to The Scoop, brought to you by BioMane. We've just got the group here today. No special guests. We had a guy lined up, and
we're special.
Due to outside circumstances, couldn't make it, so we just gathered up the group of guys. We got me, Ladd, Carson, and Bryce behind the scenes. Today's kind of just a Q&A day. We want to, during a lot of our episodes, we get a lot of questions that are somewhat off topic from kind of the direction we're going with that episode, but they're still good questions, so we want to revisit some of those and give you a chance to ask any and all questions. What did everybody do this last weekend?
Well, what did we do? I traveled here from Texas to Utah, hang out with the family for a couple weeks. My wife's due to have a baby here in May, as you guys know. So we came to do a little baby shower for her, spend some time with family. And yeah, so Friday, Saturday, we were basically traveling here.
Mm-hmm. You were in Arizona.
We were in Arizona at the title fights, Wickenburg, Arizona.
What is the title fight?
It's a big teamer open jackpot. Other than the finale in Vegas, I think it's the biggest teamer open jackpot of the year.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger ones. Well, yeah, as far as the World Series. So we were there for a few days, and quite the production that Tayos puts on. Mm-hmm. My tail's between my legs. I didn't do any good, but
mine too. I didn't do any good.
Still a good production, good roping.
Joel did good. Joel won a pile.
What are the winnings there usually? Like, how much is everyone roping for?
So, I'd say from the 11 down.
Well, even the 12. I think the 12 was. I think the 13 was 28,000 split to win first, so it'd been 14,000 a man. I think the 13 was 30,000. The 12 I think was 35,000. Or 32. I think the 11 was 35,000 and the 10 was around 35,000.
Yep.
I could be wrong.
I think that's 42. I think the 9 is either the 9 or the 10 split 42.
Huh. So
I got a question. While we wait for Bryce to get some questions about BioMane or whatever, you told a story about etiquette at ropings, and I'm sure it's probably similar at other events.
Put us on the spot.
You put us on.
That's why we tell the story.
We were talking about it off camera.
You can kind of tell the story if you want.
Fine.
But I was just curious, what are like the cardinal rules for etiquette at roping
so the
or
comment
like at an event?
The comment that Ladd and I had made was the roper etiquette from the number 15 ropings down to the 9 and the 8 lessens, weakens, gets worse. The etiquette gets worse the lower the numbered roping you go. I think part of that too is you've got a lot more players in the lower numbered ropings.
Way more players.
So you've got a lot more people there.
Yep.
Where you've got a lot more people, you've got higher odds for anything and everything to happen. But excuse me. And this is not set in stone. It's just kind of a general rule. What we see is from the 15. You know, if you get there first thing in the morning, that's the first rope is the 15. Parking, guy, I feel like if you go just to a 15, 14 roping or an open, guys give each other space when they're parking. Mm-hmm. Guys stay out of each other's way when you're warming up. Guys just know kind of the...
They're seasoned vets.
Yeah, they're seasoned, but I feel like there's just a level of etiquette that you stay out of people's way from the time you get to the roping to the time you leave. And not to say you can't be friendly in that, but you just when you get to the 9s and the 8s and even sometimes the 10s, guys park in stupid places. Guys don't care what side of the road you're riding down. They're going to walk right at you and expect you to move. I just feel like there's guys, I don't know.
So
we're going to get a lot of backlash for this, but
I don't care.
I don't care either. It needs to be
I
said.
think it's helpful. So like one thing, this is a good example. I like to go golfing with my father-in-law who's been golfing his whole life, because when we do, he's like, don't walk over someone's line, or like watch your shadow when someone's putting, you know, like I think it's good to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
So when I go with someone else, I don't look like a fool.
Yeah.
And probably at some of these, there might just be some dinks, but probably at these lower number ropings too, there's people that are just newer too.
Yeah.
And they haven't had a chance.
That's
to
very
learn.
true, because you're getting the lower numbered opens are the ones where kind of beginners and guys just getting into it go, because they're not numbered high enough to want to compete against the higher numbered guys, so they get into the lower numbered ones. Kind of the same handicap system as in golf. But yeah, that's for one. There's some people that just don't know, haven't been around long enough. Maybe it's their first few jackpots. They don't really kind of know the unwritten laws. I hate to even call them that. It's just honestly common courtesy.
Yeah.
But the stuff that ticks you off throughout the week typically happens in the low numbered opens. Prime example. I was there from the 15 clear down to the 11 and the 10. It was the last day, right before we leave. There's a guy, two guys leaning up against my truck. Don't know where their truck was parked. Leaning up against my truck. Both their horses standing right next to my truck. Like, they could lean against my truck. They could knock a mirror off. They could scratch it. And this guy's got a beer can sitting on the hood of my truck. Not on the trim, not on a plastic cap, nothing. Like on the bell, on the bed side, on the paint of the hood. A beer can right there.
Metal on metal.
Yeah, I thought.
Oh my God.
Where's your truck? Let me go throw all my crap on top of your hood, you know? Like, just common courtesy type stuff. Like, don't be an idiot. And acted so put out that I asked him to move his beer can. And it's like, dude, it shouldn't be there in the first place. But just stuff like that. Like, just don't be an idiot.
The thing is, maybe someone didn't explain, like where Carson's father-in-law was explaining him on stuff. Like, maybe someone didn't explain it to him and they're just learning as they go, but...
This guy was like 65.
I don't know.
50 years ago, his dad needed to kick his butt. It's too late now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just drove the truck down there because I was riding my dad's horses, but he stayed in the same spot the whole weekend. Left his truck and trailer was parked there at the same time, and every day it was different. Like, you got a truck and trailer pulled right behind where he could barely even open his door if he had to get in to load a truck, because they said you have to park inside the white lines. White lines didn't matter to those.
No.
So it was just, I shouldn't say frustrating because I know there's no room, but.
You sent me the video to Snapchat that one day there was a truck that pulled, like, there's literally, I kid you not room to fit
if
a
the
full-size truck in between two trailers, Lad's dad's trailer and the other trailer. This guy has a little, like, kind of Mazda-sized truck
with a flatbed. If that horse went to poop, it would have pooped in the guy's flatbed.
Yeah,
like, that's how
he
close
seriously
it was.
hugged the horses that close. It's like, what happens if a horse has a little come apart and hangs back and ends up on your flatbed or on the hood of your truck or tears up a leg? Like, all that guy has to do is leave and not give a rip. Anyways, just stupid stuff. And it happens everywhere. We're not knocking the facility, not knocking the venue, not knocking anybody, but those that were being idiots.
Yeah, because it is what it is. When you pull in and there's that many trailers, I think just be ready for chaos.
Yeah.
Be ready for it.
What frustrates me the most is when you're in a high volume area, there's a lot of horses, there's a lot of kids, there's a lot of moms pushing strollers, there's a lot of foot traffic, and some dink uses that as the place to warm his horse up. Mm-hmm. How many times does that happen? Granted, I get that, like, even at Rancho Rio, there's that, you got the wash, but the wash is a ways away to warm your horse up. It takes time if you're running late. They've got just that one little warm-up arena up by the main arena behind the heel box side. I get that that's not an ideal spot to warm up your horse, but neither is in the middle of a bunch of people and cars and trucks and moms and kids. Like when there's a big crowd of people and some guy goes running through and you watch him and he doesn't go to the box, doesn't go to the arena. He wasn't up. He's just warming up his horse. It's like, you idiot. So anyways, that's the lengthy version of answering your question.
Yeah.
That's our rant.
The rent would be fun to bring on, like a contractor, the guys that are put on these ropings, and let them, like, this is just us, just open up a little bit. You imagine. It'd be good. It'd
Get
be
Ty
good.
on here and be like, what do you see?
That'd be awesome.
Not that you're complaining, but like, what do you see that needs to be fixed at these things?
Yeah, because every year they send out that letter right before the finale about what they need to do with their stalls.
Yep.
And there's certain things that they have to have in order.
Yep.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's that big of a problem for them to address it, like,
Yeah. Well, and they just plan on getting ahead of it and covering their own butt. That way, if some guy comes and wants to be an idiot, it's like,
yeah.
you agreed to these terms. You don't like them, draw out, leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're smart for doing that.
That place is bomb, though. Wickenburg is.
Oh, Wickenburg's unreal. That's the thing. Even after we finished at Rancho Rio Wednesday night, was it Wednesday night? Yeah, Wednesday night. There's a little slide jackpot over in Whitman that we were able to cruise over to and win a little bit of money. Like, you can go anywhere and everywhere.
There's a lot going down in Arizona at
There's
this time of year.
ton.
Yep.
Wickenburg, it's unreal. They've got probably 6 main arenas. You got Rancho Rio downtown. Dynamite is a little bit away, but you got Dynamite. You got Roper Nation. You got a bunch. And, like, big ropers. Like, Joel went to Roper Nation Thursday while we were at Rancho Rio, and every rope in there had 5,000 added. Got qualified for the American semis there.
He did get it.
Him and Hagen.
Sweet.
Good.
So,
Sorry, that was our
Yeah,
team,
that was
that was our team roping rant.
team roping.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I wanted to hear about etiquette at those things.
It's the same as in anything else.
It's going
I
to be about
guess.
same about golf. When you start talking about golf, it's sometimes like, oh, this guy's wearing jeans. It's going to be slow play today. It's the same deal.
Well, do we have some questions, Bryce?
Yeah,
Bryce,
they're
what do you
starting
got?
to come in. Let's go to Facebook. So Hannah Groves just asked us a question. She said, I've noticed many of your horses you show to promote your products are in hot climate like St. George. How does your product benefit horses who live in winter climates like Wyoming? Does BioMane work slower in cold climates?
No, not necessarily slower. What you'll find is, I guess, the biggest difference is the time that it takes them. I mean, their shedding season's different. They hair up sooner because the weather turns colder, so they're going to hair up sooner and they're going to shed out later than what horses in our climate does. Horses in our climate do, I should say. But as far as how much more hair a horse would grow in different climates, really doesn't affect that. Honestly, what I feel like is tails do better in climates like your climate up in Wyoming because your fly season is a lot shorter. Your freezes come in sooner and your unthawing in the spring happens later. So that's that many more weeks of not swishing their tail and beating it up, swishing at flies. So hopefully that answers your question. No, not necessarily. Does warmer climates do horses in warmer climates grow better manes and tails than horses in colder climates? We haven't seen that.
I would say too, when a horse starts hairing up, I think that's a great time to feed BioMane because that horse is already naturally like growing like more hair as a reaction to that colder weather. And so I think we've just had lots of customers that have started feeding BioMane during the winter or when they start hairing up. So then like when that horse starts to shed off come springtime, it's just like a total transformation.
Yeah.
So keep the momentum rolling in the winter.
Yeah. Because that horse is naturally going to be growing more hair and longer hair because of the winter. So you can
Piggyback on that
with
the
the
BioMane.
supplement. But
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And when I was in Wyoming, I noticed sometimes it gets really wet and really cold. If the mane gets iced up, you got to really do way better job than you think about doing maintenance
Yeah.
because it's pretty harsh environments out there.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing in those types of climates and environments is the maintenance. Make sure, I mean, I get turning horses out and not wanting to keep them stalled up and stuff,
It's a
but
pain, but
yeah, but at the same time, it's so much nicer to just be able to turn them out. But if you're serious about having a great mane and tail on that horse, you got to take a little better care of them than just turning them out, and we'll see you in March, you know. So, fire another one at us, Bryce.
Let's go to Instagram. So Blake
we can't go
with
to
a
TikTok.
crazy last name. Blake says, my horse's hair is growing slow compared to what I see from others. What am I doing wrong?
I would double check your maintenance. Make sure you're following our step-by-step maintenance program. And the reason I say that, that's where I very first default to, because I'm going to use you as an example. When you were in Ogden, Lad was feeding the product for quite a while on this sorrel gelding we called Badger, and his mane just wasn't growing very good, like hardly at all. Well, get there and tell him, let's see how you're maintaining it.
Gosh dang.
Goes and gets a brush that, if you've seen our brush videos, his was one that we definitely wouldn't recommend. We threw away. But he was starting at the ends. He was brushing in the same way that he should, but the brush he was using was one that just cuts through hair. And so he'd start at the ends and he'd brush through the ends and start working his way up. Well, that hair didn't seem like it was growing, because when he was starting at the ends, he was always cutting the ends off. And
Well,
so,
nice.
And so,
And
if
it's funny because I see that comb and quite a few trailers, and every time I think I get a PTSD, I'm like, oh my gosh, who's gonna break this guy's comb?
because I did ask to see Vlad's brush and snapped it in half, and he cried, and I gave
He's
him a
paid
buck.
me back tenfold in brushes.
But funny story. But the truth about it is he thought he was doing good by brushing in the same way that we brush, but the actual brush, the tool he was using, was cutting that hair at the ends. And so, say he'd get an inch of growth, 2 inches of growth a month. Well, you never saw it, because every time he rode, and that was a good horse, every time he rode that horse, he was brushing his mane, and he just trimming the mane, trim. So all that new growth didn't matter, because he was trimming the ends off. Excuse me. So make sure your maintenance is on point with our recommendations. Also, that's the truth of the matter, is some horses grow more than others. We've got
Genetics.
genetics play into it, and even how some horses absorb and utilize nutrients. We've got 16, 17 horses at the place right now, and there's some that grow a pile of tail and not much mane. Some that grow a pile of mane, not much tail. Some that just struggle. We've got 2 right there that struggle to grow hair, but the bottom line is they're growing more hair on BioMane than they would without on their own. And that's good enough for me, at least on my own, because I've got a couple that don't grow much. And like the BioMane guy, like, that's embarrassing, right? But that's the fact of the matter. You go through so many horses, you're going to have those that don't grow much, excuse me, on their own. And regardless of how much they can grow on their own, you're at least providing them for essentially $1 a day. You're giving them the best chance to grow as much hair as they can on BioMane. So at the end of the day, know that horse is growing more hair on the supplement while eating the supplement than they can on their own without. It's just a matter of, do you want to invest that money into that? So
Yeah, I was gonna say BioMane will help accelerate that horse's, like, the ability of that horse to grow its hair, if that makes sense. Whatever that horse's ability or genetics is to grow hair, BioMane will accelerate that, and it's not gonna make a Appaloosa grow hair like a Gypsy Vanner, you know.
that's the thing. If you want instant results, go buy extensions. So, braid them in.
Call me.
Yeah, what BioMane's doing is, and we've never guaranteed that BioMane's going to grow a massive mane and tail that fast. What BioMane's doing is giving your horse the nutrition it needs for that horse itself to grow that mane and tail. That horse now has everything it needs nutritionally to grow as much mane and tail as they physically can. If your horse isn't growing a huge mane and tail fast, it's unable to. Like, that's the bottom line, is it is unable to. It's still going to be growing the most mane and tail that it physically can while on BioMane versus off of BioMane. But that's what I think some people don't wrap their head around, is we're going to feed this and that horse is going to have a huge mane and tail.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah. Like, we had that Cardi mare that we just sold. We had her for over a year, and her mane and tail grew quite a bit, but it was never a great mane and tail, in my opinion. Like, it was still pretty thin. It thickened up a lot. It was short when I got her. It grew pretty good. Her forelock didn't have hardly anything on it when I got her. She had a half-decent forelock. But I've had horses half the amount of time as her that have grown 4 times as much hair. It's not because they got any more BioMane than Cardi did. They got the exact same amount every single day. They were literally on the exact same feed program. And that horse's ability to grow hair exceeded Cardi's ability to grow hair.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Cardi was growing as much hair as she could physically while on BioMane than if we would have taken her off of it.
The other thing I was going to say too is that your horse might also have a deficiency in a different area, you know?
Yep.
It's like, I don't know, if that horse is low in other nutrients that aren't related to the hair, if that horse is just unhealthy in general, its ability to grow hair, like BioMane is not going to replace other nutritional deficiencies outside of like the hair, you know, like we're really targeting the hair with BioMane, and so that horse might also have some other things that need to be compensated for before it can like look like a healthy, you know, vibrant horse.
Well, and to your point, let me see your water bottle. I'm going to
Bottle flip.
Nice. To your point, I'll get to the water bottle in a minute. But if they do have nutritional deficiencies in certain ingredients or certain nutrients, vitamins, minerals, not to say that BioMane won't make up for those deficiencies, because what BioMane may do is make up for those deficiencies, but that's not what BioMane's made to do. Like, that's not using BioMane to its fullest ability. So you got a water bottle that's 3/4 of the way empty. Say this is selenium. That's just an easy one. Everyone knows, majority of people know about selenium. Say your horse's daily selenium intake needs to be a full bottle of this. Well, and it's currently on his current diet, daily diet, he's getting 1/4 of what he needs. You start feeding BioMane. Well, the selenium in BioMane and the other nutrients in BioMane help to fill this bottle, help to get that horse's nutritional needs met. Well, how much better would it have been if this horse's nutritional needs were met, and then add BioMane to the picture? Then BioMane can go do its thing, targeting the mane and tail. Instead of BioMane being able to target the mane and tail, it's targeting the deficiency first to get that horse where it needs to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you're trying to make it work overtime to get it to where it should have been.
Exactly. Hopefully that illustration makes sense.
Right.
But BioMane BioMane's not a fix-all supplement. It's not a complete supplement that says, you know, it'll make up all the deficiencies, make up for all the nutritional deficiencies in your horse's diet. No. Get your horse where he needs to be. Get your horse firing on all cylinders. Get him nutritionally perfect. I shouldn't say the word perfect, but get all of your horse's nutritional needs met. And then add BioMane to the picture, and you're going to see far better results.
Yeah.
It's just like if you take a multivitamin. Okay,
I was just going to say,
you take a multivitamin to get you up to snuff, get you feeling good, and get your nutritional needs met. Anything you take above and beyond that benefits you greatly.
Yeah.
You feel a difference. You see a difference. If you weren't on that multivitamin, whatever else you were taking is going to substitute for those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Totally. So, bottle flip.
I also think it's important that people take before and after photos.
Oh,
because
totally.
They're around their
And
horses.
measurements.
Yeah, exactly. They're around their horses all day, every day, and are like, well, I'm not seeing any growth. Well, you don't know that because you see them every day.
Yeah.
And
Before
It's
and
like
after.
raising
Yeah.
your kids in 2 months, 3 months. You know
Grow
how
5
much
inches.
a newborn grows. You know, or if you've got a year old and in 3 months, all of a sudden you're like, man, it's. You look back at pictures from 3 months ago. Same thing with your horses, and also the maintenance. Here's what frustrates me when we get calls. Hey, this product isn't working. For one thing we see is they bought the product in January. It's now April, and the product hasn't worked. And come to find out, they bought 30 or 60 days worth. Okay, for one, it's got to be fed every single day. If you get a month's worth of product, if you get a 30-day supply, and you feed it every other day over a 60-day period, you will not see the results that you should see had that been fed daily. And two, excuse me, the maintenance. I don't know how many people have messaged saying, hey, I've been feeding this for 2, 3, 4 months, and I'm not seeing a difference. Okay, what's the horse? Tell us about your horse. Let us know kind of, where he's at, what his daily schedule is. Well, he's just turned out to pasture with another group of horses. How often do you get him? Not very. I mean, we ride him maybe once a week. So the horse isn't braided. The mane and tail aren't braided. He's in a pasture with other horses. Assume it's summer. They're going to go head to butt, swish tails at each other to keep the flies out of each other's faces. Like, they have given this horse no chance to grow hair. And they're feeding the product and they're dissatisfied with the product. Guess what, people? You don't get a refund for stuff like that. Like, if what's frustrating is, why not go the extra mile and put a little more effort into growing that mane and tail and maintaining it? So anyways, if you're going to spend the money on the product, make sure you're maintaining it correctly, and to see the absolute best results.
The nutrition stuff makes sense because you have to just relate it to you, not to you personally, but to each person.
Yeah.
If you're trying to like lift weights or try to get in shape, you kind of have to go all in. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just get like say Athletic Greens, great supplement. You can't just skip all your meals and say, well, I'm just going to take Athletic Greens and
Exactly. Or you
plan
can't
on
eat
that.
like crap. You can't eat garbage. You can't eat
Yep.
junk food. You can't be eating fast food. You can't be eating greasy stuff. And then taking your supplements and thinking those supplements are going to be utilized.
Yeah.
They're not going to do their job.
Yeah, full cycle.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me want to grow my beard again because I never took any beard supplements. I brushed it and did all that, stuff to make it
The
look
oils
good.
and stuff, but you never took a
But I
supplement.
never took a supplement, and it got to a point where it's just like it just doesn't get any longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of depends on.
It's going to start getting hot now. It's a good time to grow your beard.
I'm good. The kids will rip it out.
Yeah, they will.
Okay, what's next?
Let's do a giveaway, and then we'll jump
Deal.
into a
We're going to move the mic. We're going to spin the wheel.
question.
Let's pick who it is.
Walker guy.
Walker guy?
Walker guy.
I like that. Hey, Walker guy.
I like that.
That's awesome.
Unless guy is pronounced differently. Gui or something.
Walker Gui.
Hey,
Walker
Walker
guy.
Hey, Walker guy. I like that.
Stand by. He's getting some detangler. We're going to send you a 2-pack of detangler, Walker guy. Send us your shipping information in our DMs. Tell us about the detangler, lad.
Walker guy, remember, put it in don't put it on the full website because this is, like we said last time, this is not farmersonly.com. We don't want everyone.
Yeah, don't put
Messaging
your
you.
address in the comments. I mean, unless you want a bunch of people messaging you and showing up to your house. But
Yeah, no, detangle this time of year is going to be really good because if you're getting ready to start combing them out, you're not going to have all the knots. I've had some bad luck with not using detangler, and that usually has me with a whole pile of hair sitting right next to me because I didn't go through that process. So the detangler is going to leave that non-sticky feeling that you're going to get from everything else, and you're going to be able to comb it out real nice.
and it's one you can leave in. I feel like
Yep.
a lot of the other detanglers, the sprays, they're products that after you utilize them, like, yeah, they make the mane slick, they get it wet, you're able to comb your brush through. But those types of products left in over time really suck the moisture out of that hair, make them brittle, make them dry, get them to cause a lot of breakage. Our detangler doesn't. Our detangler absorbs into that hair strand, keeps it firm, keeps it soft and supple.
Yeah,
Or,
leave
I
it in.
mean-
Yeah, you can leave it in, go do something else for 30 minutes and come back and
And brush it out.
Yep, brush it out.
And I'm biased, obviously, but it's good stuff.
smells
I
good.
have a question about the detangler. Why, and I actually don't remember the answer to this, so this is a good question. Why did we decide to go with a non-spray detangler? Because I think most of the detanglers out there are spray-on. You're using it as a mist. Ours obviously comes in a tube that you squirt in your hand
Similar
and then
to a
apply
conditioner.
it. Yeah.
Which I think, and I'll be honest, talking with customers and stuff, they don't like it as much as a spray because they have to get their hands on it. Which we may come out with a spray bottle eventually, but
You lose a lot. I feel like with the spray, I wonder what percentage of it gets lost when you're spraying it.
that I feel like you use more than you need.
Trigger happy, they're sitting here just spraying.
That, and two, honestly, our product, even though it's the same consistency as like a conditioner, like it's thick, you put it in a spray bottle, it'll spray. Just so you viewers know, if you want to get our detangler and squirt it into a spray bottle, it will spray. But the reason I liked it as a cream consistency and to use it with your hands is I like to feel the hair. I like to, when I apply that, I like to know where the knots are. I think you've got to be soft with the hair. Sounds dumb, I know. But you've got to treat the hair very delicate. Even if it's not delicate hair, you have to look at that. If you're serious about having a big, long, thick mane and tail, you've got to be delicate with the hair, and you've got to treat it like it's fragile.
That's right.
And that's why I like doing our detangler the way we did it, where you, excuse me, you'll squirt it in your hand, apply it to your hands, and just run it through the hair. By doing that, you feel those knots, because the top of the mane, especially on a horse with thick mane and tail, especially on the mane, the top of the mane might look slick, might look brushed out, might look like it's not tangled, but when you get up underneath, on the side of the mane that rests against the neck, well, guess what? That's rubbing on the neck all day long. That horse is putting his head down, putting his head up, turning, moving. Those hairs are twisting, they're knotting, and you don't see that when you go to brush. So you'll get brushing through the top side of the mane, and then by the time you get that brush pressed through the mane to where it's making contact with the actual neck, that's when you're hitting all those knots that you've had 15, 20 strokes of smooth sailing, and you kind of get in a rhythm, and then you get into those actual knots, and you've already got some torque on it because you feel like it's gliding through, and that's when you start breaking a lot of hair. You don't know that unless you're feeling that hair. So that, again, that's why I apply it to my hands and rub it through, because when you've got that in your hands and you're rubbing it through the hair, you feel those knots right then and there. You don't even have the brush in your hand yet. Work those knots out, those big snarls, those big knots, work those out with your fingers, and then go to brushing. It cuts your brushing time in half. You don't lose half as much hair as you would otherwise.
That's the whole thing.
That's the biggest
thing.
thing.
That's the whole thing.
And I can't reiterate it enough, be gentle when you're brushing through the manes and tails. So many people, even with our BioMane brush, you can rip hair out with our brush. 100% you can rip hair out if you just go at it like aggressive and not starting from the ends, not using the detangler, which you see a lot. But you just got to treat that mane like it literally is irreplaceable. It's fragile. And what you pull out takes a long time to grow back. So
Cool.
that's
And
why.
This goes along with our grooming products as a whole, but Sophia Barrow said, is it bad that I'm tempted to use the BioMane conditioner on myself?
No, use it. I use it on my little girl.
I use it every day.
Yeah, I use the shampoo.
I used
and the
to have
conditioner.
long hair too.
Yeah, you did have
I had
one.
the hair like to my shoulders last year, and every day. Shampoo, I actually didn't use the conditioner as much, but what I would do is I'd use the shampoo, and then I'd get out of the shower, and I'd put the detangler in my hair and leave it in. It was the best.
I did the detangler in my beard when we first got before I cut it on the just testing it, and because I didn't have to wash it out, I could just put it in, and my beard after rope, and it gets all smells like dirt and sweat. I just throw the detangler in it and
Great.
roll on.
Yeah, and Harper, my little girl, gets, when she showers at night or in the morning, if she's got her hair snarled and knotted up, we use the detangler on her almost every day. and
Yeah.
brush it out.
I think we've said this too, but when we decided what we wanted our grooming products to be like, we took from human and equine, products, and like basically picked the features of our favorite ones from both sides. So
Yeah.
I would say that BioMane's shampoo, conditioner, and detangler are all like good enough for a human's hair and good enough for your horse's hair.
They're far better than what the actual standard is for horse hair.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand that because we're not advertising them cheap.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? It's not something that it's a couple bucks like your other brands. But with that is high quality ingredients, stuff that you can leave in the hair and stuff that isn't damaging the hair in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
So
Let's do some quick fire
yes,
ones, Bryce.
Sophia, use it on your hair.
Yes.
It's safe.
All right. When braiding manes and tails, is there ever concern that the horse will catch a braid on something and rip it out in large sections?
Always. The way to prevent that is don't put them in pens or corrals or enclosures that has a high probability of that happening.
Baby proof your stall.
Yeah.
I mean,
The other thing too, especially if the mane's long, is, well, for the tail it should be in a tail bag, but if the mane's long, like past the neckline, you can, after you're done braiding, you can kind of fold it up and tape around those braids.
Yeah, you can fold them up. Meaning if you got a long braid, you can fold those braids up and then tape around the center of that fold. I'm trying to think how we could illustrate this. So say this is your braid. Okay, this long braid. You can fold that braid up. Sorry, I'm handcuffed. You can fold that braid up like that and then tape around it so your braid doesn't hang low in order to get caught on stuff.
it's a really good way to crimp the hair also to give it more of
If
a,
you want a little wave
yeah,
to it.
give it the 90s crimp.
But yes, that's always a fear. The way you prevent that, like I don't worry about that at my place now just because we've gone through our pens and I can't say we've 100% eliminated the probability of that happening because they're horses and there's never a 100% certainty of anything happening or not happening. But yes, to answer your question, yes, there's always that risk, and take a lot of preventative measures in making sure they're not in a spot that they can catch and snag those.
If you roll that up and do the same deal on a forelock, it'd make that horse look like it's wearing a bumpet.
Yeah,
You remember what the bumpets were?
Southern Idaho.
When you grew up in Idaho in the early
know what
2000s, all the
you know
girls
what a
had
bump
bumpets.
Why you kind of touched on the
Might be in
electrical
trouble
tape
for that one.
and tape. We have a video coming out soon. We filmed this last week, but
Yeah.
go and talk about how to apply the tape and why people are
Like the order?
struggling. Yeah,
In which to do stuff?
Mm-hmm, and like why
Why tape comes out and why the braids come out?
exactly?
Okay, so the main reason that your braids are coming undone and that tape is coming off.
That was a good pun.
Huh?
So that was a good pun.
Thank you.
The main reason.
The main reason that your braids are coming undone and that tape's coming off is you're applying that tape to wet hair, whether it's wet with water or wet with detangler or conditioner. So here's the steps that you need to, in this order. When I do a tail, say it's one that I need to wash, I'll wash it. While it's wet, I'll put wash it and rinse it. While it's wet still, I'll put a detangler in. You can do it when it's dry. You can wait for it to dry. I just like doing it when it's wet because then it's one dry time and I don't have to worry about it drying again. So I'll wash it with shampoo. I'll rinse it out to where it's clean. I'll apply a detangler and I'll let it sit till it's dry. Once it's dry, I'll brush it out. I'll braid it. And then I'll put the tape in the end of the braid. Mind you, it is dry. Like, yeah, it has detangler in it, but I've allowed that detangler to dry, set into the hair, then I've brushed it, then I've braided it, then I attach the tape to seal up my braid, right? The tail's dry. And when that braid is done and that tape is secure, that's when I apply the conditioner. And I'll soak the tail in the conditioner, honestly. I like a lot of conditioner because it's going to be left in for a week. And over that week, that conditioner absorbs in, keeps it soft and supple. What people do is they'll brush it out, then they'll put a conditioner on and get it real wet and saturated in conditioner, then braid it, then go put the tape on. Well, if you try and put a sticker on a surface that you just put grease on, that sticker's not going to stick, right? So that hair, the same goes for if that tail has a bunch of conditioner in it and you're applying the tape. I don't care how tight you put that tape, it's still not adhering to that tail, to the hair in the tail, because that tail's still wet and has, saturated with conditioner. So don't put the conditioner on until you've already got it braided. Or if you want to put the conditioner on, great, put it on, allow it to dry, and then braid the tail and tape it. Don't apply tape to anything but a dry hair is the bottom line.
Yeah.
That was a long way of getting to it. But
Yeah.
It's needed though.
needed. And we did do a video on that the other day, just a short little video, to explain that. But that's the biggest reason tape's coming off. And I guess, too, people don't pull it tight enough. They're worried about breaking through the hair. I pull the tape tight, like and you'll see in the video that we did. When you
Better to pull tight with the tape than it is get those rubber bands and go 50 times.
100%. Don't use them. Like, we use the bands at jackpots and stuff. If we want to take the tape out, brush the mane out, re-braid it. I'll use little rubber bands for a jackpot for the day. But at the end of the day, take the rubber bands out and re-put your tape in, because those rubber bands, I mean, you've folded them over 50 times to get them tight enough to keep that hair braided. And so they're tight. They're super tight. They're really thin diameter. Over time, those are just going to cut through the ends of that hair, and all of a sudden you're going to have a shorter mane.
They're a pain to get out, too.
Oh, they suck.
All right, let's answer this question from Taylor Robson. Being in Colorado, it is too cold to wash manes and tails. I've washed the tails in a bucket, but what do you recommend for manes and how to shampoo, condition, and just condition in the winter to keep it healthy?
I like the bucket idea. We've done the bucket idea here when it was way too cold. When you're doing the bucket idea, make sure you're not getting the tailbone. Like the bucket idea, like bucket wash, you'll fill a bucket with water, you'll hold it up, you'll put the tail in it, you'll shampoo and rinse the tail out in the bucket, right? That's what the bucket wash is. Make sure you don't get that tailbone. I mean, if it's in the 50s or 60s, you're fine. But anything close to freezing, don't get that tailbone. It's going to cause them discomfort. You don't want to cause any damage and discomfort to that tailbone. Honestly, we don't do, anything with the manes and tails if it's too cold. As far as washing goes, if it's too cold outside to do it. Like if they're dirty and gross, if they've rolled in mud or something, it kind of is what it is. I'll brush them a lot. Brush as much of that debris and gunk out as you can. We don't have a waterless shampoo. I don't like them, so I doubt we'll ever have one unless we convince ourselves to. But
The air dryer stuff.
use a blower. I mean,
those
if you
blowers
got
are
any
awesome.
type of blower, like we've got a couple blowers that we use to blow debris out of their hair and their coats. Honestly, they're show steer blowers, blow dryers. They're not cheap. I'm not recommending you go buy one, but they work awesome.
I like them because they get the horse kind of quiet.
Yeah,
Get used to
we do it on all the young
Yeah.
horses too, because if you can blow air at them at 1,000 miles an hour, they're going to be okay with a lot of other crap. But so we utilize that. But honestly, in the winter when it's too cold, just a lot of brushing. Use the BioMane brush, use the detangler. Make sure that you're using product to where you're not pulling hair out and damaging the hair. Just a lot of brushing.
I think, too, it's just a lot riskier when you get up in the neck and close to the head, getting too cold,
Yeah, you're
It's
just
not
up by a
worth
lot
it.
of vital organs and a lot of vital arteries and stuff. Like, just don't mess around.
And that neckline, we've learned from our research just about how the horses use their hair, but that the roots of that mane and the neckline right there are really important for that horse regulating its body temperature.
Mm-hmm.
So
last thing you want to do is go be throwing cold water on it.
Yeah. Just if that roots of the mane get cold, like that's going to have a greater effect on your horse's body temperature than probably a lot of other things you do to that horse. So
It's interesting.
it's not worth it.
Yep.
So how would you go about turning your horse out? And like, so let's say when it's snowing or something, do you have to worry about the hair freezing or getting wet? How would you protect the hair?
No, I feel well, like, so say if it were my horse, his mane's braided, his tail's braided and in a tail bag, he's going to have a blanket on in the winter. If it's snowing and you're turning your horse out in the snow, if you went from Arizona one day up to a snowy climate the next day, I would be concerned. But if that horse is in that climate already and you're going to turn him out in the snow, his body's already acclimated.
Remember I bought a horse from you down here, and then I took him to Wyoming.
Yeah.
He had the shakes for like, he'd just sit here and just,
He's just miserable.
yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah. So in that case,
Yeah.
double blanket them, triple blanket them
Yeah.
for a bit until they get acclimated. But if that horse has lived in that climate and you're turning them out, it's snowy, it's cold. I wouldn't change anything. If you haven't blanketed him all winter, he doesn't need a blanket. If you blanketed him all winter and had a hood on him, and then you go to turn him out in the pasture and it's snowing and cold and wet, make sure he's got that blanket and hood on. I feel like if you don't want to go from one extreme to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Stay consistent in what you're doing. If you've been blanketing all winter, keep them blanketed until it's warm enough that they're getting too hot during the day, wearing that blanket, then pull them off. And you may have to pull them off in the morning and put them back on at night. But just stay consistent with it is my recommendation. If it was my horse and you're in a snowy climate, he's going to have a blanket on, he's going to have a sleazy on, he's going to have a hood on, just because I want him to stay slick. I don't want him wooled up and haired up. I get the opposite of that. I love seeing on Facebook people arguing, the Mustangs don't have blankets and this and that. Yeah, well, the Mustangs are also starved to death, so. Have you gone out to Nevada and seen the Mustangs? They look terrible. Like, they wish they had a blanket on. Oh, we're going to get some hate for that. Yeah, it's not because they don't like blankets. It's because there's no food. They're eating rocks, and they can't make their own blankets. They're hoping to get rounded up and brought to Utah and turned out on pasture.
They want domesticated.
Yeah.
They do now.
They can't wait to hear the helicopters coming. Yes, freedom! Oh, Spirit was a lie.
Yeah.
The Mustangs do not look that good.
No. Or else we'd be out chasing them, trying to get them ourselves.
Right?
Yeah, they're
We
awesome.
don't want anything to do with those.
Yeah, I'll take a buckskin stud.
Yeah. Have you seen Sullivan's buckskin?
No, I heard he's pretty cool though.
He is cool.
Oh,
Okay.
I was going to compare it to like when people come down here and rope with us down in St. George and they're from up north. First thing they do, they get in their t-shirts, right? Oh, it's such good weather. Then it's like, ooh, it's better get a quarter zip. It's kind of getting a little cold.
Yeah.
Complete opposite though. But when we go up north, get that coat.
Get your parka on.
Yeah, we get warm. But you can. It's easier to warm up than it is to cool down.
Yeah.
So think that however you think for yourself, kind of do the same thing for your horse, but maybe more extreme.
Yep.
Good questions. Good questions.
Those good questions. Hopefully we're giving good answers.
I've got this question recently too. Can you feed BioMane by itself, or do you recommend feeding it with another grain or supplement?
As long as you're feeding forage too, like BioMane, I mean, it's a small little 4-ounce scoop. They can't survive on that scoop alone. But so I'm going to assume your question is they're getting hay, they're on pasture, whatever. They're getting their forage needs met.
Maybe other supplements.
As far as supplements go, yeah, BioMane can be fed by itself. That's like my horses get alfalfa cubes and a scoop of BioMane a day. We're not feeding. I mean, there's a couple younger horses that we're trying to bulk up and get some size that we're feeding other grains to and stuff. But for the most part, like our good ones are getting BioMane and alfalfa cubes every day, and that's it. And that's the reason why, honestly, when we were developing BioMane, it was a powdered form for a bit, or kind of a granular type powdered form. I don't like those because you have to feed them with another grain.
Yep.
That's another product you have to go buy in order to feed our product. I think that's, I shouldn't say I think that's stupid, but I do. I think that's stupid.
A lot of steps.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you have to get molasses and dump it in with it
Yeah,
so it
it's
sticks
just-
to the grain. And
You have to have another product in order to feed our product. I didn't like that. That's why we went with a pellet. You can feed it by itself. Like I said, majority of our horses get alfalfa cubes, and the only supplement they get is BioMane. So, yes, to answer your question, you can feed it as a standalone supplement. Just make sure it's not only getting BioMane each day. They need more food. Next.
Let's do
Let's
like
do-
a quick fire of like 5 minutes
Okay.
to wrap up.
Quick fire. Tammy Willette. She has a horse that chews on. Oh wait. Okay. My horses chew on each other's manes by the withers, destroying the mane there. Tried everything to stop
Whip
them.
them. Just kidding.
What did she do?
Don't let them be together. I don't.
Separate
I don't want to say that like duh, but like if you can't prevent them, if you've done everything to prevent them, then they can't be together. And if you don't have a setup to where they can't be together, like they have to be together, maybe if it's cold and in your climate, get them some winter blankets with hoods. So if they do nibble or chew on something, they're chewing on a blanket, which sucks because they're not cheap. You're gonna buy something expensive for them to just chew and ruin. If it's warmer and we're coming into spring, get them a fly sheet that has a hood on it to where if they do go to nibble on each other, they're not getting hair. They still might damage that hair underneath the blanket, but they're at least not getting chunks of hair as they're chewing.
it's playground rules. You can't let the 5th graders go play with the 2nd graders.
Yeah,
Got to separate.
you got to keep them separate.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, some people have different opinions about this, but having, what's it called, like an electric fence around the pens, so that horse just doesn't just spend time. I'm assuming they're in pens next to each other or something, but anyway, so that horse isn't just hanging out on the fence on the pen wall, next to the other horse's pen. Or you could just get some paneling, and so you don't have to reconfigure your entire pen situation. Like, just get some paneling and put it inside of one of their horses' pens, so you just kind of cut off, 3 feet of.
I
that
like the
horse's
electric
pen.
fence even better,
Yeah.
honestly, because
Have you seen Ferdinand?
oh yeah,
Remember those horses? How they're in the electric fence, but they're pretty.
yeah,
Pretty fancy horses.
stinky bulls.
Stinky bulls. As soon as they touched that, yeah. But they had good manes and tails in that show, if I remember. Electric fence, they weren't rubbing it out.
Yep. I like the electric fence idea because even if you've got good pins and they're reaching over the top rail to nibble on each other, string one or two strings above that top rail. The only way they're going to get popped by that wire is if they're doing something they shouldn't do. And they should get popped. You know what I mean?
Shocked.
Yeah, shocked. Zapped. Electrocuted. Like, that's what it is.
We're not popping.
But I think you might say oh well people might
That's
have
inhumane,
the
they
opinion that
shouldn't
that's
have it.
abuse. But if those horses are next to each other and chewing on it can cause sores on that horse
Yeah.
that it's biting on. There's gonna be it might as well learn that lesson quickly with that horse so it stops and gets used to not chewing on that other
Yeah,
horse.
I had a horse
Otherwise-
that would rub his mane out every spring, regardless. And it didn't matter. I could bubble wrap him. I could bubble wrap the stall, and he would find a way to rub. And rub so hard that he'd rub sores. And I finally put electric fence, hot wire, throughout his whole pen. And anytime he'd touch something he'd rub on, he'd get zapped. And there's people that, that's not humane. Bull crap. It's not humane that he's wanting to rub so bad that he gets sore because he could rub against something metal and get cut and have to get a tetanus shot. He could rub against a big old nasty wood sliver that I don't see that's under the hair. And for weeks that could go unnoticed and get infected and nasty. You know what I mean?
Totally.
The horse
great.
ones, they're not that bad.
No. Compared to what you used, Buffalo
we had
electric fence.
yeah,
up
the
in
fence
Wyoming.
we had on the Buffalo, that was 10,000 volt. I can't remember how many joules. Enough to where I got hit a few times and it knocked me straight on my back.
Yeah.
Hit me not just down.
Yeah.
Thought someone hit me in the
For
head
the
with,
buffalo,
Yeah.
they're saying.
Yeah.
And my horse, Repo hit it one time, and he was alert for like that one was intense. Like he just backed into it and hit it, and it scared me how bad he jumped. But comparative to that and the horse fence
and the ones that are calibrated for horses and cows, honestly, you can put your hand on it and hold it. It's going to shock you and it's going to sting. Yeah, but you're fine.
Yeah,
Fly
you know
zapper.
what I mean? What's that?
Like a fly zapper.
Yeah, a little
little
pop. Anyways, that's the long version again of answering your question. But they either can't be together or find a way. If they're separate already and they're still finding a way to do it, use electric fence.
Cool. Do you ride with tail bags on, or do you take them out?
Yeah, I've like even down in Arizona, we're at big jackpots and like it's a great place to show off a tail. I had my tail bags on. For one, I feel like it's great advertising, and two, they just are their tails. I mean, I rode the Appy horse, and we had Shiner and Gangster, and all their tails dragged the ground enough, and I can't get myself to cut them. So Appy's I did take out one day. His tail bag, I think he ripped his tail bag off. He stopped, slid, and backed up, and he stepped on his tail bag, and it tore it. And I didn't want to crack a new one out, so his tail drags the ground with a braid in, so I just put a knot in it so it stood off the ground about that tall. And so, but yeah, I mean, they're in tail bags 95% of the time, unless we're taking them out to redo them once a week or to kind of show them off or take pictures.
What about when it rains? What do you do with the tail bag? Are they waterproof? Do you have to take them off?
No, I mean, no. I keep them on. Even when I spray a horse off. Like, if we're spraying horses off, unless I'm redoing the tail specifically, I leave the tail bag on. Now, like, they're not waterproof. They'll absorb water, and they can get water inside that tail bag. So if you're spraying your horse off or he's standing out in the rain and that tail bag gets full of water, like, it's going to add more weight to it. Just grab the end of it, hold it up, tip it upside down, drain the water out, and you're fine. Eventually that water will drain out, but if it's got a ton of water inside of it, tip it upside down while it's still in the tail. Just tip it upside down, drain that water out, and that way you don't have added weight pulling on that hair.
Nice.
People overcomplicate the tail bags. They're super simple. They're maintenance free. Like, they're super simple. The only time you need to worry about your tail bag is when you're redoing the tail, which you should do once a week. Every 7 to 10 days has always been our recommendation. Take it off, redo the braid in the tail, recondition it, put the tail bag back on. And when that tail bag wears out, they will wear out. But the great thing about a tail bag wearing out is look at all the damage caused to that tail bag and know that could have been the tail.
Yeah.
So if you have to buy a new tail bag because it's so damaged and hammered, I love that. Not because you have to come buy another tail bag, but I love it because it's proof that it's working. It's proof that your horse's tail is still great because that tail bag protected it.
What about a mane that has a patch like missing out of it, and someone goes to braid it? Do they braid that shorter hair in with it?
No,
or
leave it alone.
Leave the patch and let it go.
I would
by
leave it alone.
itself?
I mean, it's not going to look as good as if it were braided in, but I would, if there's a patch that's a lot shorter than the rest of the mane, I would leave it alone. I personally would, and I've had horses that have been like that. I would leave it alone, give it every chance to grow, and until it gets long enough that it can be braided in with the other mane, just leave it be.
I think that's another problem people have is they braid the mane when it's super short, and that's causing irritation. And so they're like, the mane's never growing. Well, because the horse is probably rubbing or something because it's just tugging on.
Yeah, honestly,
roots
if your
of the mane.
horse has a mane that's 6-8 inches long, if it's not long enough that it gets in snarls and knots on its own, like if it lays flat and doesn't get snarled up and knots and look terrible when it's not braided, leave it alone. The reason to braid the hair, the mane, is because it's long enough that when that horse shakes its head, when that horse rolls, that hair's long enough to fold up over itself, get into knots, get into snarls. The braids prevent those snarls from happening. If your horse doesn't get snarls and knots in it on its own, when that hair's unbraided, don't worry about braiding it. I would still put conditioner in and use detangler when brushing, and I'd still put conditioner in and leave in, even if it's not braided, because it's just adding moisture and keeping that hair soft and supple. But if that horse's mane is pretty dang maintenance free when it's not braided, leave it be. Because you're just, well, again, like you said, a lot of people are doing it on short manes, and if they're on short manes, they're trying to get as many crosses in their braids as they can so it looks good. Well, they're probably too tight. They're probably too big of braids, too wide instead of being, an inch or two wide. They're probably too wide. Just leave them alone and leave them alone while feeding the product until that mane gets long enough that you start having problems with knots and snarls because the mane's getting so long. That's my recommendation.
Cool. Let's do another giveaway, and then let's
Deal.
talk about a little bit about Chrome and how she's doing. Give it a little update.
Fat. Who's this going to?
Hold on.
Wristband.
I gotta find someone. Let's do Deborah Carter. She came in on YouTube.
Debbie. Debs, you're getting the shampoo. It's going to be a 2-pack. DM us your shipping information, please. We will get that sent to you ASAP. The shampoo is great. Here's what I love about the shampoo. You can have a nasty mane and tail. You can shampoo it, lather it up thick with our shampoo, rinse it out, allow it to dry. I still recommend using detangler, but the great thing about the shampoo is a lot of times you feel like you don't even necessarily have to put detangler in because that shampoo did such a good job at removing the debris, the dirt, the gunk, and softening up that hair and removing those tangles and knots while shampooing. So I feel like, Debbie, you're going to be really happy with it. I do. I get so excited talking about our grooming line. I love it.
Yeah, you called her Debs.
I did. Debs, Debbie, Deborah. I got a mother-in-law whose name's Deborah or Debbie. I don't even know if it's Deborah. It might just be Debbie.
You gotta find out.
We just call her Debbie. Or we call her Debs. We're on a nickname basis here already. Next.
Give an update on Chrome. How's she
Oh,
doing?
she's fat and miserable and won't have her baby. Technically, she's due
Any day now, yeah.
tomorrow. Which, I was hoping for a stud colt, but the closer she gets to her due date, I'm pretty sure she's going to have a little filly, which I'm not opposed to. We like mares. But yeah, she's miserable.
That's great. Great news.
Probably spend the night outside watching her because I think she's close enough. It's her first colt, first foal. But yeah, she's fat and miserable. Like, I'm almost worried she's got twins. Like, she's that big.
Sheesh.
That would not be good. We AI'd her, which there always is a chance of twins if you AI them, but we ultrasounded her and only saw one, so we should be good. But I'm excited. It'd be fun to have a little chrome baby. Hopefully it comes out with a lot of hair.
Heck yeah.
Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say we got some exciting things planned. We're gonna be documenting everything related to that, and anyways, got some upcoming projects to reward, I guess, BioMane loyalists and other brands and products that we have coming out this year that will tie into Chrome and her baby or babies. So
Yeah. I think we'll get this baby, here healthy, make sure everything's good with it. We'll probably breed her again this year. The plan for her baby is we'll start her, assuming it's a filly. We'll start her at our place and get her going good, and then send her probably to a cow horse trainer. We got 2 or 3 that we like that we'd probably send her to, and see how she does there. If we feel like she's going to be one that can really excel there, we'll leave her in that discipline. If not, we'll bring her back to the house and turn her into a rope horse.
Nice. This is a question we had earlier. Can you see benefits from BioMane in a colt, or I guess from feeding it to a pregnant mare?
Yeah.
Can you see BioMane results through the colt?
Are the babies going to come out with a big mane and tail? No. They won't. But I see it more as a benefit to the mare because, like we said, it's not necessarily a multivitamin type supplement, but what that mare's nutritional needs exponentially become greater when they're pregnant, because a lot of what they're utilizing is going to that baby. And so for one, it's another supplement for them. It's great for their hair. It's great for their feet. And that also is passed on to that colt. That's one of the main reasons I wanted to breed Chrome out of any other mare I've got, is I want to see how good personally, because I mean, we get testimonials, we get people telling us how good their colt does since it's been born and on the product, and the mom was on the product. But that's one of the reasons I'm excited about Chrome, is we're going to document all that. We're going to keep a close eye on this baby. We're going to document the growth of the baby and the hair growth of the baby. And so I'll be able to give you a lot better answer here in a few months. But yes, the feedback that we've gotten from mare owners that have had colts that have been on BioMane full, during the entire pregnancy and then after while they're nursing, the results have been really good on those colts.
Sweet. Well, that mainly answers all the questions we've gotten.
Sweet. Cool. I want to give a little bit of a precursor to what we've got coming. Don't have the dates specific, but one will most likely be in March and one will most likely be in April. We're going to have a couple vets on, and really we're going to have both on the same episode, which I think is even better than having one at a separate time, because we can get them bouncing ideas back and forth. Two of, in my opinion, the top vets in Utah, if not the top vets in Utah. And then
we're going to get them into debates.
Yeah, we're gonna get them talking about some really good stuff. And then most likely in April, we're gonna get some big names in the reining world, and not necessarily just trainers, but in the breeding aspect of breeding and training aspect of the reining industry. I'm not going to be a name dropper. Once we get them and we have an announcement about them, we'll let everybody know. But really, really cool content coming in the next couple months. We keep this a weekly deal, and I feel like we cover a lot of really good content. But I'm really excited about what we've got coming in March and in April. So stay tuned. Keep your questions coming. And honestly, give us your feedback. If you guys know of someone in the equine industry, any discipline of the equine world that you want to hear from, we'd love to try and get those people on here. So if you've got suggestions on who you want to hear from, keep us posted.
Need to get some English riders and trainers on here.
Yeah, well, we're actually next week. I was thinking it'd be this week, but next week I'm going to go up and visit a couple English barns.
Cool.
Up in Salt Lake area. Show them the grooming lines and see if we can get them on the podcast too.
Cool.
On the show.
Right on.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. It's been another episode of The Scoop.
Peace.